Welcome back, Rainmakers, to the Crypto Rain channel. I'm your host, Jay Murph, and today we're going to be talking about HoloChain, or their ticker symbol is HOT. Now, is it hot right now? That is exactly what we want to talk about. So with that, let's get this party started. Or John McAfee says he is eating his own. Alright, so I have pulled up here CoinGecko, which is usually where we start when we're looking at altcoins. And so let's take a look at what we see. Now, it's a fraction of a cent, 0.22 cents right now. Market cap of 400,000. The circulating supply, essentially, all the tokens are in circulation right now. We like to see that. So let's talk a little bit about what things I like about it and what things I might not like about it. Now, unfortunately, in the history, a lot of the bigger trading platforms haven't had it for a while, so we don't get to see this kind of history. You can see on the markets, it is on a ton of exchanges, just most of them are smaller, and TradingView only pulls from the bigger ones. So it's even on 1 inch, but it is an ERC20 token, so you can buy it right from Uniswap or on 1 inch. But some of the bigger platforms now have it, Binance and others. So let's take a look at TradingView, and this is an interesting one. It is all over the place. Okay, overall, it hit this huge dip on Black Tuesday with the rest of the market. And so we do see this going on. We also see this going on, and clearly it had a breakout here. Now, I did buy a bunch of this right somewhere in here, and it's a funny reason why I bought it. Now, at the time, a bunch of people were pumping Dogecoin, and my thought was, well, in this bull run, there will be some new people who just jump into the space who are looking for cheap tokens. They don't understand how the token price really is only relevant when you factor in what the market cap is. So this has nothing to do with really the value that's there. It just seems cheap because there's so many tokens. I mean, in this case, 177 billion tokens. So yes, this seems cheap. If there was 177 million tokens, well, then this would be $2.25. And you would have exactly the same market cap. Does that make sense? So I did know that when things are going hot for the whole market, you would have a bunch of new people jump in. And so I put this in what I call my speculative bucket of investment. Now, speculation is different from investment in that speculative investment is kind of high risk, high reward, and involves more guessing. So investment is more educated. You're investing in something that has a history of going up over the long term, even though it might have swings. And so HoloToken, my thought was, as the boats rise, because the rising tide rises all boats, there would be a lot of people who just jump in the market and they throw their money at something cheap. And because this is on some of the bigger markets like Binance, that this would get a lot of money thrown at it because it would seem cheap. And so my hope was it would outperform many other things during that time period. So we have seen it go absolutely crazy here. And then we're seeing a very big retracement. If we're to draw this out, we went here, and so it's retracing right about the 50% mark right there. And that it might retrace to the 61.8, could even retrace back to here, we'll see. And that would take it back to 0.1 cents if it retraced to here. Here would take it to, let me just make sure, yep, you're able to see what my numbers are. This would take it back to about 0.19 cents, 0.188. So how do I think this is going to do? Well, it is a little bit on the fundamental side. It's a framework for distributed applications. It's interesting on its scaling approach. It uses what's called an agent-centric approach, which is more scalable. In other words, nodes, in other words, agents, run their individual blockchain. So in, say, Bitcoin, every node has a full copy of the blockchain, and here every node has a full copy of their blockchain and not necessarily the whole blockchain. And then they maintain their own cryptographic key, and they connect them to the chain. And so not every node stores all of the information, which makes it a lot more scalable than blockchains such as Bitcoin. And so it's a different approach that many haven't taken to the same problems that most blockchains are trying to solve. So it is very scalable and can continue to scale. However, they're competing in a very hot space for a lot of attention. And there's going to be a lot of blockchains that do really well this run up that won't necessarily be around for forever. And I don't know if hot is going to make it forever. In fact, none of us know exactly which ones are going to make it for the long term. My best guess is I see ADA probably being around, Polkadot probably being around, even like Elrond being around. And a lot of these other ones will do pretty well, but unless they get enough adoption and institutional adoption and people building on top of them, at some point they'll fall away. Now, whether it's this coming crypto winter or the one after that, I don't know. But my timeline for hot was shorter, that I'm just going to be holding this till the hysteria. And so I didn't even sell off with this pump, though I was really tempted to. And perhaps I should have, because I would be totally okay with swing trading this because I'm not emotionally attached to this one at all. But I decided when it was about here to go ahead and just keep holding it. And so it says retrace, and I'm just going to wait. So let's look about where this could go in the coming 2 months. Now, because of the time period that I'm looking to hold this, and I'm looking to hold this into September through December, somewhere in there, I'm probably not going to sell this unless I see it hitting some of these numbers and screaming it's going to retrace at me, and then I'm just going to sell it to swing trade it and buy some more. So the next when it takes off again, and it will probably retrace and it will trade sideways for a while is my guess. When it runs again, which might be in a month or two, it'll probably hit the 1 cent mark, and then I think it'll even go to 1.7 cents and then trade sideways, and then maybe one last push that will go absolutely crazy through the rest of the year, and maybe it'll go to like, I don't know, something crazy like 20 cents before falling back down. And so if you think about that from where it is right now, and it's at, where is that, 0.2 cents, it goes to 20 cents, that's 100x from here. Now, is that possible with the market cap? Let's just double check. So $400 million market cap, that would take it to a 4 billion and then a 40 billion market cap. It's possible. If it does hit that, is extremely overvalued, and it very much a bubble. So that is a great time to be selling on the way up as it approaches that 40 cent mark, if it even gets there. Does that make sense? Or that 20 cent mark. So yeah, this would be to 2 cents, and then if it keeps going up to like 20 cents. Now keep in mind this is on a logarithmic scale. So let's take it out of logarithmic scale. Because it can really make it hard to see. Although when things go parabolic, logarithmic scale really helps you understand. So looking from this view, you see when it hits, say, the 1.618, that's a good take profit zone. And even at the next level, which is here, if it hits up at the 2 cent mark, that's about a 10x from here. And so if it hits one of those marks and it looks like it's going to lose some steam, I'll probably sell and then try to buy back in when it does a really nice retrace. Now, when is it going to do that? Probably in a couple months. A lot of things have run really hard, and then you're going to see some sideways action. In fact, what I really think we're going to see is Bitcoin taking off a little bit. I think we'll see that. I don't know that we'll see that. So here, kind of like, looks like if you have a dirty mind, it could be something else. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see Bitcoin gain some dominance versus the altcoins, and then we would see that going up here, and then it's going to go womp. is my best guess at what might happen. So HoloChain, am I bullish on it? Yeah, just in my speculative portfolio. I don't have a lot in this. I just have some. And so it's a fun one for me to speculate on, and that's as risky as I want to get. I don't do the leverage trading only because I'll keep working on getting better at charting, and I like to think I'm pretty good. And I've done really well for my own mid to long-term holds and even sometimes short-term swings. But on leverage trading, it just gets me too nervous. It then gets me into my emotional side where I get worried. And then when you trade when you're worried, it just puts you at a huge disadvantage. So you end up selling too soon, and you end up writing things down too long because you're hoping it will bounce back and go up. And then you have a higher chance of getting liquidated because you didn't put in a smart stop loss. So for me, it's just swing trading and mostly long-term holding because I like this timeline. Like right now, we're just about to enter March. I think we'll be strong just looking at the previous patterns of the previous years. I mean, let's just pull it up. If we look at when the peaks were in the previous bull run, now going back to 2011, it was in May, but they didn't really have a halving here, so I don't count that one. I really just look at 2013, which what happens is Bitcoin tends to peak, and if there's a lot of altcoins, which really all the altcoins here were just forks of Bitcoin, so I don't count the altcoins in that cycle. I really start counting them here as Bitcoin peaked, and then the altcoins ran for a month to 2 months, and then certain altcoins actually still continue to have some massive gains, as well as followed by massive retracements for the next 6 months. So Bitcoin's bull run ended right near the end of the year in December of 2017. I wouldn't be surprised if this time it ends somewhere between late September to December again. What's interesting is the actual Bitcoin halving cycle happens about every 3 years, 10 months. So it's not a true 4-year cycle. But what is interesting is Bitcoin peaked in November of 2013 here. 3 years and 10 months later, it had the halving, which corresponded to 2016, and the halving corresponded to 2012. What's interesting is the next peak didn't happen at 3 years and 10 months. It happened at 3 years and, let's see, this one was in November. And so it actually happened in 4 years and a month where Bitcoin then peaked, which is really interesting. So I'm not quite sure what to expect where Bitcoin will peak along this. I'm just kind of watching. We've had a lot of serious momentum a little bit early. I was surprised by how bullish it's been. So I also then wouldn't be surprised if we have some cooling off before some massive, massive runs. Although Bitcoin's been cooling for a little bit, it might be ready to run soon. So I'm just watching that. I think a lot of the altcoins will probably cool for a while. Since the beginning of January, they've been running hard for 2 months. And that doesn't usually continue. It's kind of like the rubber band I talk about a lot. So that trading sideways and even pulling back is like pulling back the rubber band, and then all of a sudden it goes and takes off. What happens is when a lot of things retrace, people get scared. They dump, and they dump right into the smarter investors' hands who are just waiting to buy at those lower prices. And that happens for a while. And what happens is people also get bored. They get bored and scared, and they want to sell their stuff that isn't doing anything and roll it into the stuff that is doing things. What they don't realize is the stuff that they're selling is usually building up some really big momentum, which will later lead to it really springing off, and the stuff that they're rolling it into have already sprung off, and they've already missed at least half the gains, if not more. And so if they're lucky, they catch even the tail end of that right before it then retraces. And so that's just a mistake a lot of new people make. They're new to this, and it's hard not to be emotional when you're very excited about what things are doing. So I did want to walk you through that, how I think about things and analyze them. Now, none of this is financial advice. I always want to be clear about that. I'm just a crypto investor myself. I've only been doing this for 4 years, which is not a whole lot of time. I have been investing, though, in real estate and other things for 20 years. I like to think that mindset and what I learned about letting go of fear of missing out and being patient, I like to think that spills over into crypto investing, although I can tell you in 2017 when I was new to this, I made almost all the mistakes between 2017 and 2018. And I like to think I learned a lot from those. So I do also tell people I'm not always right. I'm just often right, and there is a very big difference between always right and often right. But I do like to share with you my thoughts on how I look at things, how I analyze things. I hope it's helpful to all of you. I do want to thank you for joining me and want to talk to you about why I started this channel overall.
Thank you for joining the Crypto Rain channel. I'm your host, Jay Murphy, and if you haven't already, would you hit the like button? Also, if you subscribe to the channel and join us Rainmakers, well, the goal of this year is to make this year completely rain on all of us. And we're going to do that by having on some of the best guests and some of the best project teams come on and answer our questions as we get the best information so that this year will be phenomenal for all of us. See you soon.